Well, g'day YouTube people. Today we're going to look at the connection between e-scooters and wrestling, professional wrestling that is. And no, look, I don't expect to see WWE stars zooming around the stage on these things anytime soon or hitting each other over the head with them. I'm talking more about people using micromobility and rental e-scooters to get to an event like the wrestling or the footy, the cricket, the tennis, Taylor Swift's concert, whatever you like. You know, um, and the only reason I'm doing this is I actually just blundered into all these people going to this WWE event as I happened to be riding around the river. And I got to this point, and I thought, what are all these people doing in black queuing up to get in here? No clue it was on. I stopped and took some footage. But look, the day after, this is what this spot normally looks like, with only half a dozen scooters here instead of, well, I didn't count how many was there the day before, maybe 100 or something. Now, the reason they're all parked up there is this is a map of the city of Perth, and over on the right-hand side, where that red arrow is, that's where they all were. And this rental company, the contract they've got with the city of Perth is the scooters are geo-fenced to the city of Perth area. So obviously a lot of people would have ridden down to that point and the scooter would have gone, nope, not going any further, time to park and walk across the bridge. So when I initially went across this bridge on my first lap at about 1:30, there were already people, in small numbers streaming across the bridge to get to the stadium. And the only reason I really showed this is that as we go past that little scooter park, you can see there were already some scooters there, but it's nowhere near as dense as what we'll see about an hour and a half later. There's a reasonable number there, but around 3 o'clock, the numbers had increased quite considerably. So here we are, and let's just go and have a quick look at the queues. Which are formed, and yeah, it was like 6 wide and 100 meters long to get into the stadium. And what struck me though is I was thinking, should the city of Perth expand the geo-fenced area to allow people to ride all the way to the stadium? And I thought afterwards, no, it's probably not sensible. Imagine mixing lots and lots of scooter riders on rental scooters with all these pedestrians. So you've got people walking at 5 kilometers, people fanging across at 25 kilometers an hour on scooters. Probably not a good idea. I mean, it's a bit like serving alcohol to teenagers. Put people on rental scooters for the very first time. They might have never used one before, and they're zooming and booming through the crowd. Yeah, it's probably a recipe for disaster. Better, I think, that they turn this into a like a formal parking area. Maybe even have someone over here parking them properly and corralling them as they should be, so that at the end of the event, people can come back and pick up a rental scooter. So look, I just did a quick little zoom around here just to see what was going on and kind of get a feel for how people were getting here. What we're seeing here over on the right, this is the big public transport drop-off area. So the idea is all the buses and Ubers and private vehicles can come here. People can jump out and then walk across the bridge to Optus Stadium. And it seems to work quite well. It's set up for the footy, but it can be used obviously for any event. And we'll actually see as we go along here a couple of people on scooters heading towards the stadium. Now, what are the advantages of using a rental scooter over one you own? Well, a mate of mine rode his $10,000 e-bike to the stadium a couple of years ago to go to a footy match, came out and it was gone. Someone had cut the lock, never saw it again. In fact, it was about $13,000. Yeah, it was a e-mountain bike, so quite expensive. Um, so, you know, until they build a locked cage where you've got to kind of swipe in and swipe out to get into the cage, and you've got to buy a ticket that includes cage secure parking, and maybe they have someone at the gate checking that your ticket matches your bike when you're leaving and stuff like that. Probably a good idea not to take something that you own to the stadium. Much better to rent something. The downside, of course, of taking a rental scooter is there's no guarantee there's going to be a scooter when you come out. You might have ridden one to the event, but let's say 100 people ride to the event and all these people see you riding and go, wow, that's a great idea. When we come out, why don't we ride a scooter home? And so, you're the 101st person to come out and whoops, this area is bare and every single scooter has left the building. So, pros and cons. But look, I do think it's interesting though that a lot of people have obviously chosen to jump on an e-scooter and use it. And I wonder if more people will do it in future after seeing, all these people doing it on this particular day. It's probably, I would say, less than 1% of the people took an e-scooter to this particular event. But, the numbers are growing. They've got the ability to do it in Perth because, they've got this scheme set up. There's a lot of them all over town. They've got something like 80 designated places where you can pick up a scooter and where you have to leave it. So, the potential is there to increase that percentage from, I guess, a low base. But does it show what we could be doing in the future, particularly in other cities? New South Wales still has a very dim view of e-mobility, particularly scooters. But I wonder if things like this might start to change the minds of a few people. Let us know what you think in the comments.